seen to be like the can, can you hear me? Please, can you hear me? The male is now seen as someone that, should be the boss, should just command. And that's why you see that they don't even treat their women well. Well, that's my opinion. That's what I've seen. I stand to be corrected. They don't see their, because the female has not been built with value. And there's one thing about the female gender is that the more you begin to build yourself, the more you begin to add value to yourself, the more confident you will be, the more you'll be able to stand your ground and make your decision, the more they will be able to, commit more responsibilities to you. And that's just it, because the mind is just like, how would I put it, like a blank sheet, garbage in, garbage out. So it's the value, the knowledge, the impact, and that education will give you, you know, that will help you to be that woman of substance, that woman of great value, that can lead the community, lead Nigeria. In fact, yes. So that's one of the barriers. And the second one we're going to be looking at is the limitations. The limitations, even the disparity when there is supposed to be a position, and then they will be like, no, a female cannot, in fact, sometimes we see it even in Christendom, when they feel like, no, a female cannot do this, when they are meant to not. And that is very wrong, because God has created us. Yes, God has created the man to be stronger, and yes, we know, but then God has also given equal knowledge to the female. In fact, a female, if she's like if she has more invest of knowledge, if she has invested more knowledge in herself, that's what I mean to say, you see that she'll even be more productive than the male. Yeah. I'm not trying to raise an argument, but that's just the truth, because female, they think they have time to process knowledge more. They think, they sit down and then think about, the man can just say, okay, no, let's just do this way, and take quick action. But the female, she can have this foresight to be able to calculate, do her additions, her subtractions, make a prediction, and okay, if you do this way, this way, and they learn more by experience, because they always take notes. They are very, very observant. They take note of things, that happen. That's the woman who is observant. Though, yes, you notice that if they've made an error in this area, they won't want to repeat it again. Okay, they've learned this way. Okay, next time we'll make more progress. So that's one of the traditional rules, and which is a form of bias for the female. I hope that answered the question.
Thank you so much for that, Ma. I think let's throw the question also to our second speaker. What are the traditional gender roles that have been prevalent in your own sphere, sir?
All right. Let me try and get the question well. Said, what are the traditional gender roles that are prevalent? Do you mean in Africa, or that I'm aware of? I like a more specific. So I know whether I'm giving from my own experience or just general knowledge.
Okay, that you're aware of, both from your own place and also other regions that you could have heard of.
Okay. I think generally speaking, when you talk about gender roles, you discover that, let me use Africa, because more other climes seem to have advanced to a larger extent. So, but you still find the same applicable in some climes. When it comes to gender roles, you see that men are expected to excel at certain things. For instance, certain fields of endeavor. For instance, in Africa, when it comes to transportation business, you see a limitation in women entering that space, right? At least for Nigeria, I'm very sure of that. We have few women who seem to have broken the barrier, but very, very few. Not enough, not enough. Then I know currently we have a larger influx of women into the engineering space, but there was a time when, engineering work looked like it was impossible for women, or at least women were restricted from that. I mean, it even dates back to, we can go on and on and on, right from history time. I mean, there was a time where women were not even allowed to vote, because it was expected that, oh, their own places in the, in the room, or in the house, taking care of children and all that. And that's one of the causes of the rise of feminism, in, starting from America and, spreading around. So I think there was this protest in America that women staged that led to them being able to make their votes count, their franchise being given to them. Please hope I'm being heard, and hope the background noise is not affecting what I'm saying. You can just put that in the chat so I can know. So I'll just keep talking. So a lot of things like that, women restricted, and they had to fight for some of those rights. But currently, I think there's a large advance as far as that is concerned. So, but there are still limitations. So, like I've talked about the transportation space in terms of business, there are certain businesses that women seem to be edged out of, right? And then also men. I mean, there's some, it does not just only apply to women, men too. There are some spaces that it was thought of before that men cannot excel in, right? I mean, for instance, the beautification space, right? Currently, we have men that do makeup, that make women up, even women, because it's women that need makeup more, right? It's women that do makeup more, not need, but do makeup more. And then you now have men in that space, beautification space, cosmetics, taking care of women's face. They know how to do all those, how do they call it now? I'm not a woman, so I don't do all those beautification stuff, but nail clips, beautifying the nails, putting cosmetics on for women and all that. They're very good at that. There's some men who are very good at it. All right. The space of being a cook or chef, in Africa, it's expected that it's women that are to cook and all that. So you would expect that women should excel more in that business, right? But we have men who are into that kind of a business, selling their services for food to, okay, they're selling their services for food to clients here and there, and they're very good. In fact, some people will argue that the best cooks in the world are male, right? So that's just some of the things. So those are some of the gender expectations traditionally that we've seen over time, and that a lot of them have changed already, right? But just to bring them to our notice, then currently, I think in Africa, especially in Nigeria, where I am, because I have not gone to some other African countries. Probably some people will tell us later on from their own end. I know in Nigeria, for instance, one of the things that concerns me is the transportation space. We hardly see women enter into that. We hardly see women, take charge in those areas, right? Trying to make profit from there. We see them do small businesses selling, different products in shops and all that. That's very good. But how about the transportation space? There's a large, place to enter into, and that's why currently we celebrate women who have become pilots, and how do they call them, captains in, you know, the airspace, right? Because it's surprising to see that they are in that space because they've been away from it for a long time, and so we are happy to see that little by little we are beginning to see women enter into that space. So those are some of the things, apart from the ones that have already been mentioned by my assistant. I would just add that to the list. Yes.
If you have questions concerning gender roles, just put it on the chat box, so that the speakers can begin to take it when it is time for that. When it is time for that. So, sir, still taking it from your angle now before going to Miss Grace. What can you say are the positive effects of having gender roles? What are the positive effects of having specific gender roles that are assigned to genders, male or female, based on different cultures? What can you say are the positive effects of it, sir?
Okay. Yes. I think generally when roles are defined, it allows for structure. It allows for easy flow of activities, right? So that's one of the things that have really helped. You know, in the 21st century, why one of the main reasons why marriages don't survive is the fact that we are in a century where there's a lot of confusion, right? A lot of things are changing from what they used to be. The traditional balance is not balancing anymore. You know, I know when we are talking, we will say, the balance is not balancing, or how we say it in Nigeria when you want to say something. So traditional roles or gender roles are not balancing. They're not balancing like they used to before, right? So one of the benefits is that you discover that in the past we had more marriages working, because those rules were so defined and everybody knew, oh, if I get married, this is my role as a husband. If I get married, this is my role as a wife. Or if I'm a male, this is my role. If I'm a female, this is my, this is what I expect, things that are expected of me. So everybody seemed to have their path carved out for them, and everyone just followed. I would say sheepishly, probably. I don't know. I'm not trying to demean how it was before, but it's allowed for structure and there was no much argument. Everything just went on fine. Now you enter into the 21st century and you begin to see a lot of questions being asked, and then those balance began to shake, and so much, it began to cause so much, how will I put it now? A lot of people had to start rethinking the things that they thought were okay before. And it puts, so for a man now, for instance, you begin to ask yourself, what are my roles? What are my rules really? Because we were growing up and there were some expectations. Now things are beginning to change. So you begin to ask yourself, what are my rules really? I read a book by Miles Monroe. That was in, I think, 300 level, 400 level. I've forgotten exactly the title. It's talking about men. It's two parts to it. That I think the purpose of men and the purpose of women. That was the title of the book. But I'm paraphrasing that title now. But that was the essence of the book, trying to explain what being a man is all about. And then he wrote for the female what being a woman is all about. So I read that book some years ago, and that was one of the things he was pointing out. We are in a season where everybody, whatever gender you are, now talking of male and female, right? That's our main concern here, not the other genders that exist in the world today. That in the current stage we are now, it's difficult for those roles to really be defined for you because they are changing, right? The expectations are changing. So the benefit was and is if we decide to throw a blind eye. When you're ignorant of certain things, there are some expectations that are not expected of you. There are some things that are not expected of you. So you don't even bother. There are some things that if you don't know, they don't bother you, right? So since the enlightenment was not much then, it allowed for easy flow of activities. People lived their life easily. Things just flowed very well. But now things are beginning to change, and it begins to challenge the previous knowledge we have. And so I would say the benefit, one of the main you know benefit of that gender role that existed before was that it made everybody know what they were expected to do, and there was just a kind of peaceful living, and there was nobody challenging what this other person was expected to do or not to do. So I'll just stop there so that other points can be raised on that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Uh, I want to throw this question at Miss Grace, but then the question is kind of heavy, so let me reserve it. Thank you so much for that, sir. We see that there's a positive aspect to what we call gender roles, even in the past, and it gave that kind of structure, and everyone could work within that frame. So I will hand over the virtual mic to my co-moderator, and when it is time for me to deliver this my question, hey, Miss Grace, I hope you are getting ready for me. Oh, yes, over to you, Miss Gift.
Okay, so earlier on, Madam Grace, you talked of limitation. As girls, we are not supposed to be educated. We are only supposed to be nurturing, emotion, caregivers, while men are supposed to be breadwinners. Them are supposed to be educated. Now, how can we challenge and change tradition gender laws? How can we challenge and change tradition gender laws?
Of I would like to cite an example of someone that would have been a victim of gender inequality, but from what does it call it, when she gave like a short story about herself, we saw that it was just it was a grace for her to be born in a house that there was nothing like gender inequality. If not, she would not be where she was today. And that's the person of Deborah DDK. I don't know if we know her. Well, we should. In Nigeria, we should. You see that our father always challenged our thinking, our reasoning. He never for once made her feel that being a female is a disadvantage. No, he always encouraged her, give her words of assertion, and give her words that she can be better than this, she can be bigger than this, she can be who she wants to be. And you see that she's behaving like a man now. If you follow our social media, you see that that background has really built her and formed her. So, talking about how we can change the traditions is by number one, not limiting the gifts. Like, don't limit the talent and the ability of your children. Give them space. Don't just say, okay, no, you don't need to do this, and focus on the male gender over the female gender. It will not, there will be a lot of gap at the end of the day, because you see that in later on the female will not have that female will not have value. And that's why you see that even in, you can relate it in marriage now, that as a woman, if you see that they just want to, like, they feel they are not complete, they are just there. If as a single, you don't even have any, like, you are nothing until you get married, which is a lie. And that's because of the mentality that they have. I'm not saying that a female should not get married, no, but I'm trying to say that you have to build your value as even a female, and that's where a lot of people are getting it wrong. They just feel that, oh, if I'm just a female, I don't really have much value until I'm married. And that's why you see that some people, they just base every of their identity. They don't even have they don't know their identity, they don't know their purpose, they don't know, like, they don't even have an idea of where they're supposed to. They all just thinking about is to, and that's because is to end up in a man's house, and that's because they've not built themselves to add value to themselves. And the man is only seen as, okay, the one that is going to protect them, the caregiver and all that. Well, that's very correct. But you know that in making decisions, if the female has not is not well educated, and she does not have that right exposure in making decisions, she will be so much sidelined, because she will not even know the right response to give, because she's still trying to process, okay, what is this thing, what is okay, how is this, if there's a problem, she say, okay, how do we try to analyze this, how do we try to solve this. But if she's well exposed, in fact, you will see that even the problem will not be like much of a problem, it won't be much of a big deal, because of the training that she has been given by her parents. So that's just one way, because I'm saying I'm focusing more on the female, because they are the one that have the hit the most. They are the one that have that gets hit the most. On the other hand, the male also should not be excluded from responsibilities in the house. That is where you get to you see that in marriages now, the woman is looking older than the husband, because she does all the chores. She's the one to wake up early in the morning, make the meal, clean the house, bath the children, pre- dress them up, take them to school, go to work, from work, go to the market, come back, cook the meal, do the chores, do their homework. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if as a parent you have tried to make measures right from the onset, like teach your son responsibility, teach him how to be accountable. That way, for example, a male child, like when he's done eating, you should not expect that the sister should help him with the plate. No, let him be responsible, let him be able to do little things himself, and you see that when he grows up that way, he will be a very good husband that will be able to help in the house, and not just sit down, fold his arms, cross his leg, and watch TV while the wife goes all about, and at the expense of our own life and our own health. So that's one way, that's one major way to find a solution to the inadequacy of gender roles, and discriminating what a lady should do, what a lady should not do, what a male should do, and what a male should not do. So with this first point I said is that the lady should be exposed. They should give her equal accessibility as the male, not just say, okay, no, you are not going further because we know this is where you are going to end up, and all that. No, it should not be. Rather, they should make her a woman of value, someone that will be bold, someone that will be confident and can face a man. Even not, I'm not saying disrespect, no, but can stand her ground, and when she knows what she's doing is right, and and make good decisions. And then the male should be taught responsibility, how to be responsible and accountable right from when he's young. That way it will really solve a lot of problems. Thank you.
Okay, so sorry. Um, Miss Grace, I told you I
Yes,
have
I
a big
was.
question for you. Okay, so there is this strong advocacy, especially for girl child, women child, a lot of scholarships being given to female child, especially so that they can pursue academics and become very excellent. And we see that over the last 10 years or so, the number of women that have entered into strategic and specific roles in our society have greatly increased. And it seemed as if that the male child are gradually losing their identity, and the female children are kind of taking over. So, do we say that the women are taking over, and how do we put a balance to this in our society?
Okay, yeah. I think I had someone tell me that even in their in when they are recruiting in his place of work, they now tend to give a bit of nominally they now give preferential treatment to women, that they at least, if we're recruiting three persons or two persons, that a woman must be part of it, just because of this um um like they want to accommodate the woman, the female gender in their place of work, so that at the end of the day it's not be like the place of the organization is just filled with only male. Do you get what I'm saying? Because if you feel that the male is more qualified, and then at the end of the day you just see that all the staff in the organization are all male, so they just try to meet it, but we bias a little, and give more preferential treatment to the female, even if she's not well qualified, just in so that we can have a balance in the organization. Well, going back to your question, that now we now have women in tech, women in politics, and women in education, another, but still the percentage cannot cover the number we have for men, because men are always seen to have, because there's like they have more strength to be able to handle pressure and handle stress and manage things well. Most of the time, if you go to an organization, the managers are usually male. But now we can see that the female are not, they don't want to grieve for anybody. Well, that's actually a good one, but it's not a problem if you ask me. It's not a problem. It's just a way for them to be a voice in what they can do, because what a man can do, a female would do much better. Well, you can argue with you can argue that, but that's why I feel
Okay. Oh,
they can do way better. Reason is because they well, let me speak for myself. When you give me something, I don't want to see it fail in my hands. I want to be seen, I want to be heard and see that, okay, when she was given this position, there was no flop. It will not be easy, but then is a way to show that women should not be sidelined. They have their gifts too, and of course they should represent, and they should show up, and be heard and be seen just the way the men are. So I don't think it's a problem for me. It's not a problem that we now have women in tech. That's balance. At the end of the day, we'll still have more men. If you check the ratio, we'll still have more men. But it's good that women are now coming out of their shells to do the things that, you know, creating softwares, creating apps, and then running codes and all that is a good one. Is actually a good one. So it's not a cause for alarm, and it's not a problem. The professional treatment in giving scholarships and all that, you said they now have more professional treatment in giving scholarship. That's because most people don't send their females to school. And it's much more, if you look at it, it's much more easier for a man to train himself. Yes, he can be working, and then he's trying to train himself, and you can say they have much more energy, but then it's going to take a whole lot of determination for a female to do that, because we might not really have that strength as a man would do. So giving the female more scholarship is a good one, so that we'll have more female voices and there will not be gender discrimination or gender imbalance in the society. So in the House of Rep, in the Senate House, and when we're having ministers and all those House of Assembly, your state governors, we should have more females. They are very scanty there, but it's good that we have them too. And it will all start by investing. Like I said, like I would say, you can't give what you don't have. So if you have not trained a girl child, a female child, to have with potential, she cannot give you back the potentials, because it's what you have taken time to study and build yourself in, that you'll be able to manage, and you'll be able to have that capacity. Like when I was saying that when you give me something it will not flop, it's because I'm actually taking time to invest in myself, so that okay, when you are assigned this role, they will not say, okay, oh, we said it too, we should not give it to this female, let's just put the mandate. You understand? So I believe that it all boils down to not giving a gender preferential treatment over, like giving the male gender preferential treatment over the female. Treat them as equal. If you are sending this one abroad first, if you are sending the male abroad first, we send the female also. Give them equal opportunities, and let God help them in destiny. Let God help them with the gifts and the talent that He has deposited in them. So I hope this has answered your question, Mr. Samuel.
Yes, yes, it does. Thank you so much. Thank you for creating that balance at the end of your comments on that. Let me quickly throw this to Mr. Faith. Uh, Miss Grace was saying that what a man can do, a woman can do better, and it seemed as if women are in competition with men, and over time it's like there's nothing like roles anymore, because a woman wants to do what a man is currently doing, and then you see that the men also are begin to want to do what women are doing, like the cross dressers, like we have them, men going into transgender, trying to turn themselves into female, so that we cannot now draw that line. So where's the balance in all of this? Where's the balance in all of this? If we are saying that gender roles are important, gender roles are good, okay, then where is the balance, so that the women do not go beyond the limit that is allowed in trying to just compete and take a space for themselves, while the men do not lose their own identity?
All right, thank you, sir. As Ms. Grace was saying that, I actually thought in my mind that I don't agree with that statement. Uh, I think that statement came out of a need to encourage women to actually push themselves more, right? What a man can do, a woman can do better. I don't really think that's true in terms of proving or giving whether biological or scientific, assertions to that. I don't think there's any proof to that. I just think that whatever a man can do, a woman can do too. Whatever a woman can do, a man can do too. And that's even limited, because when you look at biology, when you look at the makeup of the male and female gender, you see that there are limitations that have been placed by God, by nature, that allow for one gender to be able to do some certain things and the other gender to be able to do certain things, even though we're trying to skew it all up nowadays and try to see what male can do that females could, what the male can do in trying to compete with the female. For instance, I think I heard of a man that, held a pregnancy. I don't know if that worked or if it's, was able to pull through, but, those kind of things anyway. So the idea of what a man can do, a woman can do better, I think is just to encourage women to actually do better than they are, currently, like she was saying, come out of their shell and try to put themselves out there. What any gender does, what one gender can do, the other gender can also do, can attempt to do it and succeed at it. So there's no competition, really, there's no competition anywhere. We're all just to do what we can do for ourselves to be better versions of ourselves. So I think if we start from that point, we'll not look at the other person as either being weaker than us or being better than us. I don't generally look at a woman as being lesser than me. In fact, and I love the point Ms. Grace raised earlier, probably because of the way I was brought up, right? In my own family, we didn't have a female as per female girl child, or the only female in the house was my mom, right? So, but we were brought up to those roles that you generally expect in some other families as being for females. All of us were expected to do them. I can cook, for instance. So there's no, oh, this is for the female, because we're all male and we're brought up to handle those chores by ourselves, to wash plates, to do everything by yourself. So there's no, oh, this is a woman's work or that is a man's work, right? So I think when we start from that point, then we'll stop looking at competitions. Everybody should just attempt to be a better version of themselves and, be good at whatever they do and be so valuable that they become in demand, right? So if we can start from there, then we'll be able to settle a lot of things. So I think a part of the question you asked was about how we can bring a balance to the misconceptions about, that competition, right? I think that was that was a part of the branch of that question. So I think once we can balance ourselves and know that, oh, I'm not in competition, I'm not trying to prove anything. Most of the time you see people entering into what they perceive to be what other genders can do because of the benefits. Cross-dressers, for instance, they don't just do that. Most of them is for the glam, for the popularity, for the fame. Once you are different, there's this once you behave differently, there's this large number of people who want to see, okay, who is this person? Why is this person behaving that way? So know that they will be insulted or stigmatized for it in a sense, but they don't care. They just want that attention and all that. So they do that for the glam. They do that to be for the crowd and all that, right? So that's the benefit they feel that is there, right? And whatever other reason that they might have in their minds for doing that. And then there are some who are genuinely feel that because of the orientation we have now in society. Just imagine a small child who is giving birth to today in a society where it is legal to be transgender or it's legal to have certain sexual orientations. By the time they grow up, it's normal to them, all right? It's already become a normal thing. So that orientation in different societies has made it difficult to actually separate the issue of this gender is different from this gender, and you are not supposed to cross over to do certain things. So it's not just about the fact that there seems to be a competition, right? I think it's just the orientation of the century we are in now, where there's so much advance in knowledge and people just want to explore different possibilities and just want to go all out there and do so many things that are funny and at whatever cost that is, they don't really care. So that's one of the reasons. So but if when it comes to whether there's a feeling of competition, I just feel it's how we have been brought up, that feeling of, oh, whatever a man can do, a woman can do better. So some men want to prove I've often had some men, when they're talking to a lady, they'll be like, "You're a woman, you can't talk to me like that." I used to be surprised when I hear that, but there are people without orientation, right? So I think it all boils down to the orientation. Everyone should know that we are equal when it comes to life. God created everybody, male, female, they are created equally. You have potential inside of you. You have possibilities inside of you. There is nothing you want to do. There's nothing you want to become that you cannot become. You are not limited by your being a male or being a female. Once you have that orientation right from the onset, right from being a child, then you cannot be limited from doing whatever you want to do with your life. All right. So that the fact you are a female does not give you an advantage over the male, and the fact that you are a male does not give you an advantage over the female. You just have to tap into the potentials God has placed on your inside, and you can do wonders in your world. So I don't know if I was able to really address that question, but
Yes, yes, you really did justice to it. Thank you so much. Before we add to the questions from the audience, from the participant. Hey, where did she run to? Okay, Miss Musa, I just wanted to comment on something. Like, there is this general belief that there are packets of graces, packets of like talents that is accrued to different genders. Like as a male, there are some things that we believe that you do easily, like because of the genetic makeup or the spiritual makeup or whatever. There are some things you kind of do easily as a female. There are some things that you do easily as a male too. And this kind of things also determines the gender roles. So how do we balance these um, unique inborn abilities that we have in us to be able to do some things as either male or female, with the mindset of you can do anything whatsoever you set your heart to do? So I just wanted to lend your voice to that before you raise the next question, and then from there we'll move to the question from the audience.
Yeah, so on that one thing we should know, or one thing we should put in our mind, is that when God was creating each one of us, He created us for a purpose. So we just have to ask Him to reveal that purpose He created us for. We all have various talents, and according to Second Corinthians, where the Bible says, this one can do this, the other one can do that, and the other one can do that. So all we have to do is to ask God to intervene and reveal that purpose He created us for. To ask Him to intervene and reveal that purpose or the talent that He has invented into us.
Okay, thanks for that. That was a very powerful response. The mic is still with you, so I'll continue with other questions that you have for speaker, man.
Sure. Okay, so Mr. Solomon, when we look into most companies, organizations, and if we talk over the political world, the political sector, in most high positions, male are the ones who are holding those positions. So, what strategies can be implemented to promote more women into leadership positions?
okay, I think that's an awesome question. Um, but let me come from the angle of, because one of the ways we are trying to solve that issue in Africa is to give slots. I think Miss Grace was mentioning that earlier about someone she spoke to that was talking about how they prefer to give slots to female, just to enhance their participation in, you know, businesses and all that. So that's what happens so many times. You have organizations that will tell you, oh, okay, they have so percentage that should be for female. All right. So, but the danger of that is that the male counterpart will never look at the female as actually being very qualified at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, if without that quota, would the male will look at, or your colleague who is a male as a female. Now I know there are females on the call. As a female, as a male, your male counterpart will probably look at it that without that quota system, would you have actually qualified to work in this organization, right, with me? So it might tend to look like the male feels more qualified. It's just they're just creating a system of giving the female an opportunity to, let's just give them something to do so that there'll be no complaint. You get that idea? So I think the best way out is not to give quota systems or say, oh, let's give this person. In my school, I remember there was this time that I think they lost the accreditation. There was an accreditation that was supposed to be given to my faculty at that season. And the issue was that why they were denied was that they said there was no female staff among the staff. I think there was one female, but there was an issue that she was having with the institution, and I think they were in court at the time. So there was this statement of, um, the institution that was giving the accreditation was like, you should have a female on your staff, right? And that was one of the reasons, right, that they were saying they were not going to give the accreditation to that faculty at that time. So it just seems like you are giving the quota system just to help women to fit more in, to what is going on. But you're not really building the women. I think what would be better is that women are actually qualified. You're not really just trying to give a quota system so that, they be included. It looks like, to me, right, I'm just giving my own personal opinion, it looks like just handing down something just so that you don't talk. It looks to me like even a bribe, just so that you remain quiet and calm in society. I think what we should focus more is on building the female gender education, building capacity. And it's not just about creating those opportunities. Women have to also be interested. One of the things I've discovered is that many women, not all, and that's why anytime I find a lady who is so interested in personal development, who is also interested in, building herself, I'm always impressed. I've discovered that so many ladies just want that easy way. I just want, that statement, I cannot stress myself, right? You find it more on the lips of ladies than of men. Men are born to think that, they need to take up challenges. Life now hustle. Life, you have to struggle. That's what a man's mindset is. So you see him always trying to push the boundaries and all that. But a lady seems to always think, probably because of society construct, like I said, before, that gender is a societal construct. So as a lady, you have to reorient yourself that I need to do more, right? I need to push. I need to become valuable. There are women. Let me give an example now. In America, I know there was this woman called the wife of Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. When Trump was about to become president, many people were thinking she was also going to, I think she even ran for that election, if I'm correct, or she gave a slot to someone. I can't really remember. But she had grown. Yes, sir. I think someone was saying something. She ran?
Yes.
Yes, okay, she ran. So she had grown so much capacity, and I think if she didn't win, of course, Trump won, but I think she would either be the second or the third on the list by the time they were counting votes, right? That's a woman who has built capacity enough, right, with grit, and because success is not meat, all right. So that's why you find more men. It looks like more men are successful. They seem to put in those efforts. They come with that mindset that they are fighters, right? So as a lady, you must take up that kind of mindset yourself if you want to enter into the world of success. So I would prefer that we don't go through the route of trying to give just slots for ladies to enter into politics or into companies, into businesses. No, let's train them with the mindset that you can actually, with persistence, be successful. Right? So we should start from the families. We should have that in the society as something that is continually being said. That once you are whoever, whether male or female, you put in the effort, you are going to be successful. Right? And so with that, I think we'll have more ladies that will begin to do, because when you begin to grow capacity, you just become a leader. I know I wrote an article for an organization I was editing for. I think that was some years ago. And I was asked to research on a lady. Her name is Ife Durotimi. Is it Durotimi 80? Ife Simi. I don't want to make the mistake on the name, but it ends. Her name ends with ETTI. That's her surname. And she built an organization called Her Economy. They give loans to female folks to run businesses and all that. And she's into tech, should I call it tech now, fintech, right? Fintech space. And she's doing mighty things, great things. That's a woman, right? We have Ibukun Awoshika. We have so many women who are actually doing great things. And let's say they decided to venture. It's just that they're focusing on their own purpose. That's their own area of expertise. That's the area they decided to focus on. But let's say their purpose was to be a politician. You will see them excelling in that area, right? Because they've put in the effort and they've decided to, build themselves. So whatever area as a lady you feel you are called into, go in with the mindset that I must win, I must be successful. Go in with that grit. Be ready to pay the sacrifice that is necessary to be victorious. I know that many times there's the limitation. Men have that natural endowment to go as fighters, right? So as a lady, sometimes you might want to cower, but if you have that mindset of being also a fighter, you always come out victorious too. So I think that's the way out. Instead of giving slots, that's one of the ways that we have been trying to handle it. But I think a better way is to create a mindset for women that you can actually do better. And the more we insist on that, the more we'll see results in that area. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Actually, I totally agree with you. As women, we should develop a positive mindset. Not by no, I'm a woman. I can't do this. If need, give me this position, what and what. So I've gotten your point, sir. I've got another question, sir. Gender inequality and pay gaps has become common a common concern, a common thing in most of the workplaces. So, how do you think organizations, companies can better support gender equality and challenge these gender laws?
Okay, I think I heard gender inequality. I didn't hear the second part that has become rampant. But let me just try to answer what I think the question is asking. Right. The best way. Okay. Yeah. Let me get the question well.
Exactly. Let me repeat the question. Okay, so how do you think organizations, companies can better support gender equality and challenge gender laws?
Okay. All right. So I think the way out is to create new laws that are favorable to both genders, whether male or female, and then create avenues where especially disadvantaged genders in particular areas can, for instance, the female for education, which we see largely in Africa has become their limitation. Uh, when it comes to marriages, you discover that when women are in abusive relationship or abusive marriages, there's this idea of just remain there and all that. And I think we are beginning to see a lot of change in that, right, currently. So then for the male, if you experience, when you hear that when males experience molestation and all that, it seems like it's something they need to be quiet about. They should not talk about it. So changing the orientation that is on ground is the way organizations can actually help, creating avenues like what we are doing currently. Not just this, some people have the ability to do something like this on a broader scale. So they should be able to, organizations like that should be able to carry out activities that can, bring more enlightenment to people on a larger scale. So either go to villages, go to places where people don't have access to information like we are having now, don't have access to internet, and might not be able to connect with what we are doing currently. But because of the availability of finance to sponsor some of those things, they can, carry out activities that can let those people know about some of these challenges and how that they can overcome them. So it will help with gender equality and also challenge the gender laws that are currently on ground, right? Then also having, the gender in question being involved. For instance, like my other speaker was saying, that's Miss Grace, that most of the time women are on the receiving end. So let's have more women in the process of making those laws, right? The laws that concern the country, the laws that concern, both male and female. We should have more females involved in creating that law so that they can speak for their gender in general whenever those laws are being created. So I think these are some of the ways that we can, handle that.
Okay, let me quickly throw this question across. I was watching a movie, I think that was about 2 weeks ago, when the woman, because naturally a woman is made up to have the uterus, and she's the one that can carry the baby. But then she told her husband that it has to be gender equality, and that she does not want to give birth to a child. That if there's going to be gender equality, then the man too should be able to carry a child in the womb. So gender equality of a thing as to, definitely gender is not equal. So when we talk about gender equality, I guess we are talking more about the resources that we tailor both to the male and to the female to be able to develop their inner capacities, inner ability, and become what God wants them to be.
Mr. Samuel, sir. Sorry to cut you short, but I think I've got another question for Mr. Solomon. So before we go into
Okay, please take the question then.
exactly, Mr. Solomon, when we talk of defining gender laws, of course, this will involve challenging tradition, societal expectations and norms surrounding gender, and working to create more inclusive and equitable understanding of gender. So, what are some of the ways you think can help to redefine gender laws?
Okay. I think in the question, there are already parts of the answer in the question. There are traditions that are already on ground. There are expectations that are already on ground. And then to challenge them so that laws can change will require, people coming up with ideas on how to actually, bring out about that challenge, right? I spoke earlier and I talked about when the women were not allowed to vote in America and how they had to go out on a protest, right, for that. I know that one of these middle uh, Middle Eastern countries, I think women are not allowed to drive cars or something like that. And I think there was a time they began to make protests on that. I can't, ascertain currently whether that law was later on changed, right? But when laws are working against a particular set of people, that's one of the ways they change those laws, by protesting, about those laws that have held them bound. So you can easily challenge those laws by protesting against them. And then women, if it concerns women especially, if the using them as examples in this particular issue, because my own take on gender issues is that it affects women more, but that there are challenges men also face when it comes to gender expectations and all that. And like Samuel was saying earlier, it's not really about, if we are going to say sex of a child, then we can say male and female in terms of their biological makeup, but gender is a societal construct. I was saying earlier that my lecturer used to say that, and I truly agree with that. It's the expectations that society have created around a particular, male with sex expect sex. How do you call it now? When I say sex, I mean whether male or female, right? So the expectations of that particular sex is what is now called gender, right? So those expectations are what have been defined by society. So we can challenge them by protesting against them, even though they have been traditional norms before now, but that there are current informations are available that make us to know that these things are now, outdated and wrong. And yeah, we have come under, more information, more light, more understanding. So let's change some of those things. And you discover that in Africa currently, some of those laws are changing, because of much more information. So, and it does not take one gender to change these things, right? The female can lend their voices to, gender expectations that they feel are unrealistic about men, lend their voices, and it makes it more, it grants it more credence that it should change. So also the male should lend their voices to things that concern the female that we know are, unhealthy and, not beneficial. And by lending our voice, these things too can change easily. All right. So I think that's the way to challenge them. We protest against them and insist that they change. That's the way out.
Exactly. That's true, sir. And just to add on your answer, I think we should also promote equal opportunities where both women and men have equal rights to access education, to lead by example, and to educate ourselves on social tradition, all these gender laws that we have talked about. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Samuel, over to you, sir.
Ms. Gift, I don't know if Mr. Samuel is still on the call. Can you just take that question for me so I can respond to it? Our time is far spent. So I think we just have 6 minutes more on the call.
Okay, sir. Okay, so we've got this question from the chat box, which says there is a saying that goes like, a woman should not be heard but seen. What is your say, Madam Grace, over this statement?
Okay, I think I will respond to that since we've
Yeah,
lost Madam
yeah.
Grace from the call. A woman should not be heard but seen. I don't agree with that statement. I think she should both be heard and seen, right? So, like I was saying before, when Ms. Grace made mention of that statement that a woman can, what a man can do, a woman can do better. There are so many philosophies that we have gobbled down without really thinking about them. They are They're just how will I call them now? Philosophical statements that are just to probably encourage people to follow a particular line of thinking or follow a particular line of behavior, but they're not necessarily true, right? So this is one of them, and the other one that I mentioned is also one of them. Yeah, there's nowhere that holds a woman from just being seen, and that she should not be heard. That's She should both be heard and seen. As long as she has something to say, she should say it. As long as she has something to do, she should do it, right? And then that the male and female have equal access to success as long as they are ready to put in the work. No, there's no limitation for you as a female or as a male. So what a man can do, a woman can do also. Not what a man can do, a woman can do better. Right. So I think there was a question before that question. Can you read that to me so I can respond to it before we end the call?
Okay, so we've got another question from Justin Allen, which says as human light brought more or more benefits to us during the African culture. As technology and social media brought change, gender laws and gender itself.
All right. So I think these are two questions, and let me go for the first one. Yeah, it has brought. I would say it has brought more good, more benefits than harm. I was saying before, it has caused a disbalance, right, because of the new orientation. So both genders seem to be at a loss at what is really expected of them. But I think it has brought more good, more benefit, because currently now we have more women taking up, roles and believing that they can actually do meaningful things in life, right? It means that even you as a man, right? Let me just say this for the male folks. Even you as a man, it means you have better chances of success when you are married, because you currently now would likely marry someone who is educated and can contribute, more to your family building than it was previously. Previously, the women were just relegated. Their contribution was nothing more than probably just childbearing. There was no intellectual or innovative capacity, because they were limited in education. They were just relegated to, that's in African society, relegated to just giving birth to children and taking care of the home. But now you have a woman as a wife who can advise you on how to go about your finance in a way that will bless you, or advise you on what to do with your money that can be of increase to you. If she's educated, she can definitely do that. So it has brought more benefits, I believe, than harm. But that does not mean it has not had its own effects in terms of distorting what was before. And I think the way out is for us to find our balance, just know how to address the current situation on ground, and then we'll be able to move forward. All right. So has technology and I think it says social media brought change to gender roles and gender itself? Yes, technology has brought change to gender roles and gender itself. It has brought change, a lot of change, in fact. And that's why in the earlier point when we started speaking, I and Miss Grace were talking about the fact that gender currently in the world is not just male and female. We have non-binary. Some people call themselves non-binary. That means they don't identify as any form of gender. Then some are, they identify as, even though they are male, they identify as female. And then some who are female identify as male, right? This is the community we call the LGBTQ. And then, it goes on and on like that. So all these things have spread from wherever they started from, with much strength in America, spreading, and in the West, spreading more to places like Africa and the Middle East and other places, because of social media, right? So those informations are out there, and people are beginning to see and believe those things and participate in them. So it has actually affected you. And I told you I said before, gender is not just sex. You can say by sex I'm male, by sex I'm female, but gender is the construct you attach to that sex, right? By sex now, I'm referring to the biological makeup of a male person or the biological makeup of a female person. So it's the societal expectations that we place on those, whether male or female sex, that makes it gender, right? So a lot of definition of gender has been on social media, and a lot of people have bought into ideas and began to live their lives by those ideas because they saw it on social media. So it has actually affected how we define gender in general. Yes. So I'll say yes to that question. Yeah. I think that's all. So over to you, Miss Grace or Mr. Sam.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma. I don't know if there are still more contributions. Our time is far spent, and I would have just loved to close the call now. But let me just give 1 or 2 minutes for last submissions from other people on the call. You have just 30 seconds to just speak. Mr. Gomez, can we have something from you? 30 seconds, please. Okay, I guess is not on the call. Mr. Jaffet, something from you in 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you for giving me such kind of an opportunity to address myself. Yes, I'm Jafet, coming from Zambia. Yes, this is an interesting topic, both for girls and boys, male and female. It is very cardinal for each and everyone in here to know the roles and our responsibility towards gender. Yes, that is what I can just say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Mr. Favor, I want to lend your voice too in 30 seconds. Okay, I'm not hearing anything from him. Okay, anyways, I think we have all been able to gain something valuable into this discourse, and we're sure we are going to be having more and more of these trainings and discussions in coming months. So do well to make yourself available and check for the updates on our community platform, so that you can get updates of how our programs are going. And as well, this webinar is already being recorded, and it will be posted on our YouTube page, so that you can review it and then you can share it with others that were not part of this call. They can gain valuable things from it, even though they are not here presently. I want to thank our speakers. Thank you so much, Mr. Faith. Thank you, Ms. Grace. And I also want to appreciate my fellow moderator, Ms. Musa. Hey, you really did wonders today. Thank you so much for being a good partner in this. I want to appreciate everyone on the call tonight too. Thank you for lending your voice to gender roles, and thank you, gifts. Thank you for those hands. I think I want more of it. So thank you so much. We want to appreciate you. We are going to be closing now with a closing prayer, and then we'll be allowed to leave the call. Let's bow our heads as we pray. Father, in Jesus' name, Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this moment that we are able to gather together to speak on things concerning our continent, concerning both the male and the female youth, that would help us to become better people, better versions, and resources that will be tailored in our path to make sure that our talent becomes a blessing to hundreds and thousands and millions of people across. Father, we thank you, Lord, and we appreciate you for this great grace and grace opportunity. We say, may your name be exalted in the name of Jesus. We ask that you water back all our speakers as they have spoken to us. You grant them more wisdom, more understanding, greater platforms to be able to speak these things in the name of Jesus. And you also grant us the grace to work out these things, not just being hearers, not just being speakers, but doers, and will be effectual in bringing change to our continent, to our nations, in the name of Jesus. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Thank you so much for being on the call. See you next time, probably next month. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. See you.